Okay. So it looks like I have successfully gotten us to YouTube. So we are live streaming tonight, and um, that would be on the Pitt County Extension Office's YouTube page. And we're also recording. So if anyone needs to share it with someone later on, they can go back and see it. So if you'll give me just a minute, I've got about 8 minutes to the hour. I'm going to mute myself and pull my articles together, and we'll be ready. Hey, everybody. We're about 2 minutes away from starting, and I'm starting with a smile on my face. Technology is not my gift, and so sometimes I do things on my technology that didn't mean to, but I just ran across some lovely emails on my phone from my father, who has passed away many years ago, and it was a lovely way to start the evening. I hope everybody has gotten the email with the amended information, the amended Constitution. I see that Pat is trying to join us. Okay. Loretta, have you heard from anyone that is not able to join tonight?
No, I have just texted everybody to remind them to join. So I have not heard anything. I thought everybody was going to be on. So I also texted Jean. Can you see her trying to get in at all?
I've got Jean on.
If not, I might call her.
Jean is on, Joni,
Yay!
Andy McLaughlin. So we're just
Happy birthday, Jean.
We're missing.
It's Jean's birthday.
Oh, well, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Jean.
As a baker, do you have to make
Hey, Joni.
Hey, Loretta.
How are ya?
I'm good. How about you?
Good. Miss you.
Miss you, folks.
Okay, I've got 6 o'clock and I'm watching my email on my phone. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and get us started with being cognizant of the time. I sent everybody an agenda to work from. And the first thing on that was a review of the minutes, which I also sent with the agenda. Did anyone have any questions about the minutes from the February 8th meeting? Anyone want to make a motion to accept those as presented?
Make a motion to accept.
Okay, Joni, thank you. A second?
Second.
Thank you, Andy. All right. The first thing on our agenda then is updates from Loretta, and she gave me several things that she wanted to talk about tonight, so I'm going to let her take the mic.
All righty. First thing is new vendor information. Starting Saturday, April 24th, this coming Saturday, Terry Snowden, who is a grower, will be starting. Starting May 1st, Beyond Blessed Bakery, Chef Michelle Harris will be joining us. And then participating vendor information, we've got 9 vendors who have not paid yearly fees. Now, of these 9, I think Bobby Grissom is going to have knee surgery, so I don't know that he is going to be back this year at all once he has the surgery. After that, I have got a call into NCDA Consumer Services to update our scale calibrating. He did not call me back. Ryan didn't call me back today, but I'm hoping to hear from them shortly. Next is COVID. The cones are being removed by the side door. Now, I don't know if they need to remain there or if I can just go ahead and eliminate those, but somebody literally is taking those cones and moving them away, and people are going in and out there. So I'm not sure who's doing it. I asked Cassandra and she really didn't give me any information. So right now that's in limbo. I'm still doing it on Saturdays, but somebody literally is picking those up, moving them so people can come in and out of that door.
Loretta, I did
So,
not
I
unlock
don't
that
know
side door.
what is the protocol.
I did not unlock
Okay,
that
now
side
this
door.
is my concern. Okay, this is my concern. Those doors have had on them must remain unlocked or open during business hours.
Okay.
And now that might, with this, that might be completely different. So I always unlock it because if there is an emergency, even though we've got our doors open, which
Mhm.
to me would be fine for people to get out. But if there is an emergency, I have always kept it unlocked, kept the cones in front of it. So maybe your way's better. Maybe I need just to go ahead and keep it locked. I do not have the sign there. It's at the front door. And all the back doors are unlocked. What is your call on that?
Loretta, I mean, it's probably the best policy to have it unlocked, like you said. I know last Saturday I had the sign at that side door pointing people to the entrance at the front.
Right? Yep.
But I don't know if people still tried to come in that door or not. I couldn't keep tabs on it the whole time. Are there any thoughts from?
Okay, well, if you didn't unlock it, then they wouldn't. If it was not unlocked, they wouldn't. So do you think I'm good just keeping it locked? I mean, if there's an emergency, we've got all those doors that are open that people could get out. So I guess that's something to ask the emergency manager
I
and
can
just
follow up.
see if that is something.
Yes,
That'd be
ma'am. I can
great.
follow up on that.
Okay, and do I need a professional looking arrow at that back door so people know where the exit is? Should I go ahead and order one? Or just leave it as is?
How much longer do you think we'll have that door closed due to weather?
Oh, it's been open. Was it open this weekend? It's been open.
I don't remember.
Okay. Okay, it's been open because it's been really pretty out. So
Right.
we have had that door open. At that point, I just don't think there's really a need for it.
I don't think there's a need for it if the door is going to be open.
Okay, all right, very good. I'd hate to waste that money because it's gonna cost
Right.
us about $20 for that. And now the amount of people allowed in the market is 120, so that's been updated with the county, which is really good. And I don't know if you've made any progress on the radio station for Hispanic, but if not, I would like to run that new commercial that I made that we're looking for farmers/gardeners with excess produce to sell at the farmer's market. I'd like to run that in May.
So what's the committee think on that?
I think it's a good idea.
I'm okay with it. It would be nice to reach out to the Spanish community, but my peppers are gonna get frozen tomorrow night anyway, probably.
Okay, so we want to move forward then with an ad advertising for growers and then maybe push the Spanish ad until later in the summer.
That sounds good.
Okay.
Or June. Or
Okay.
June. Now, did everybody get the commercial I sent them? Looking for the growers, farmers/growers,
I did not.
because I didn't get any response back.
I
Okay, all
haven't
right.
had, this is Andy. I didn't have time to really sit at my computer lately, but I'd be interested in knowing if you have gardeners or farmers that respond, are we going to give them a grace sale day, or if they got to pay the 50 right up front?
It is going to kind of depend on what we decide. So I think 50 is going to be too much, because if you're talking about a small grower, they may not even make that in one day. So I don't think that that would be classified as an actual farmer, but it would bring more local growers in. So we'd have to talk about that. What would it cost? Or would we just charge them $5 for a Saturday? I mean, because they may only be there 3-4 weeks. We've got Olivia Branch. She starts in June and ends like end of July, maybe middle of August. So, but she still pays the $50 and sells on Thursday, Friday, but most of the time not on Saturday. So, and it's free to her Thursday, Friday. So if we get some small people in, do we just say, hey, $5 if you sell on Saturday, Thursday, Friday, or no charge? What do we do?
It depends on the space. As long as you have plenty of space, that sounds good. Give them just a $5 fee. If it gets crowded, maybe we can dedicate one booth to part-time gardeners or something and do some advertising around that.
So I had an idea. I've got it under my updates, but I'll share it now since it's kind of in this line. I was thinking about what Andy has mentioned several times about a special booth for new vendors or excessive gardener vendors, whatever you call them. And my idea was calling it growing new vendors. And if you just kind of how I envisioned it would be in the oldest building, where you get ready to go into the new building, on your right against that wall. I don't think there's anybody there right now. And if you put a sign up on that wall that said, try our newest vendor or growing new vendors, and specifically put a new vendor there for, say, 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And then when you put them there, you also, you're advertising. All of us are saying, check out our new vendor, make sure you check our new vendor. And then after that 2-week period, you'd have a sign up that said, our newest vendor is now at booth 7. And then we might have a new person there. But the idea that you would highlight we have a new vendor, maybe you'd put it on Facebook, you'd have a sign, and help customers understand this is our special, and in 2 weeks they're going to rotate out and they'll be in a new location and we'll have somebody different in this spot. But I don't know, what do you think of something like that?
I like it.
I like it too.
Andy, was that anything close to what you envisioned?
Exactly the same thing.
Was that a yes?
Well, if it gets crowded with a whole lot of Pitt County produce, like I hope it's going to happen about June, I could see also putting 2 tables in that one booth.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
And I can also see possibly, maybe a $5 fee for the new vendor. But with the idea that if this works for you, that we would want to collect that $50 membership fee on the back end. So you're a new vendor. We're gonna give you 2 weeks at our special booth for $5 each, and then we're gonna transfer you to a new location and advertise where you're going. And if you make it a whole month, then we'll expect to collect that vendor membership at the end. What is the negative of doing that? What would other vendors say in response? Anything?
Well, that is right beside Andy, the other board member who's not here to defend himself. But if a new gardener came in with exactly the same thing that he had that day and cut the price, I don't know if there's any way big price controls of somebody just coming in and dumping something they had too much of.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a problem. Think about.
Yeah.
Well, if we're trying to increase the number of farmers at the market, I think it's a good idea that we have a booth or two like that for new people to try.
Okay.
Well, and I think it gives our customers something different to look forward to. Also, like, hey, there's somebody new this week, or there's going to be somebody new rotating through.
Larita, could you draw up some guidelines for something like this? You're on mute, Larita.
Sorry, I've got barking dogs. Yeah, that's not a problem.
Yeah,
Not a problem.
because I can see, you know, if Terry Snowden, you said he's a grower. Do we know
That's
what he's going
correct.
to have?
He had quite a few things checked off on his form. He lives out on Mills Road, so he's local. He's really, really close. I mean, I don't have it right directly in front of me, but he had quite a few things checked off. I'm not sure what he will have on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So if we do that, then I would imagine, I'm trying to think of what booth would be best to put him in. I hate to put them in the new building because then I've got vendors telling them what a horrible building it is. So maybe I will move Zulia Bread down where she was previously and put them right there. They would be right next to Andy Jansen. That's where I run into a problem. I run into a problem with the negativity in the new building, and everybody's telling everybody how horrible it is. Nobody passes the door. So I hate to put them in that area and have them feel like, well, they put me in the worst place I could be in. That hurts my heart.
So that spot that we were, I mentioned between the wall and Andy, is that an option, or do you feel like that's too close to the new building?
No, I think that would be an option. I think I can move Zulia out of there, and because she does well wherever she's at. You know, I mean, I'm looking at Bobby Grissom. The man does phenomenal, but everybody's telling me nobody ever goes down there. And I'm like, well, you look at Bobby Grissom's sales and you tell me that they're not going down there. They are, but they're not looking for what you have. And that is not a fault of the market.
Yes, he had
I mean, that man makes bank. Absolutely. He does every Saturday. So I'm thinking I'll take Zulia because she's got a good following from us and from the umbrella market, and I'll move her back down and Herb McGrail back down and put this new vendor right there by Andy Jansen. Whether they have the same thing or not, it's just not going to matter. So also Scott Blair may have to go in for back surgery. Bobby Grissom, it sounds like, is going to have knee surgery. So that may free up the booth across also next to Phil, the wine man.
Okay.
So I may have some spots to juggle people, but I can easily put Mr. Snowden right there next to Andy Jansen on Saturday. That should work out well.
Well, I
Loretta,
would- No, go ahead.
the
Yes,
gentleman
ma'am.
that was to Tracy had left on Saturday, the gentleman that had the paintings.
Yes, he
Yes.
did.
Did he leave or did he just go over to the senior center? Is he coming back?
He took everything with him. He took his tables and everything.
Yeah, well, if he goes to the senior center for their craft shows, he does.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
So, yeah, so I'll have to play that one by ear. If he does not come back, oh, it's easy to use that next to Tracy. Absolutely. But generally, if there's a craft fair, he will take everything and he'll set up across the street.
Okay, I didn't realize that. Thank you.
Well, Loretta,
Yeah, so that'll be a wait and see.
I would encourage you to find out what Terry's bringing and push it out on Facebook that there's a new vendor. And I did just encourage everyone on the advisory to welcome them and show other vendors how to welcome someone new. That's great.
That would be great. That would be great.
Is he starting this Saturday, Loretta?
Yes, he is.
And his name again is?
And then the baker is starting, huh?
What was the gentleman's name that's starting this Saturday? That's
I'm
the
sorry,
farmer?
Jean, I didn't hear that. His
The
name
name-
is Terry Snowden.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, we ready for farmers market grounds?
What is the ECU nonprofit?
ECU nonprofit is a children's group. And they are going to come out and they'll be in the new building and they will be telling people what they are doing to support children, sick children in our area. So they will be there on Saturday. I don't know if they'll stay, but she said that they would like the exposure. So
Okay.
and able to give to some charities, I think that is like a really, really good way to give back to the community. And ECU has been pretty good to us. I just would like to help them out a little bit.
Okay.
So they'll
Sounds
have
good.
a table in the new building back on the right-hand side.
Okay. So what about the grounds is the next item on yours?
Okay, farmers market grounds. The flowers are planted at the front of the market. They're covered tonight in case of cold weather and frost. So tonight and tomorrow they may be completely covered. I'll start on the side beds. I know, Jean, this is something that you need me to work on. So I'll start on the side beds next week or the week after with the cleaning, and then I can go ahead and I can help you plant or whatever. The driveway drag's done. The office carpet was cleaned today and deodorized, so that was really nice. And now another question I have for you is we need to order a sign for no animals in the market. So how do we need to phrase that? I want to order 2 signs. One will be at the front by the enter here, and the other one will be up by the front by the little cigarette smoking thing. So I just want to know how everybody wants to phrase that. It's got to be kind, it's got to be gentle.
So, Larita, I've just looked online for no dog signs, and there are things like no pets except service animals. Amazon has a bunch of different things.
Okay, well, then email me how you want it stated. Unfortunately, it's not only dogs. I've seen
Right, and
people walk in with like in little crates. I mean, they're not like free, but we've had a ferret in there last year and they're in containers and people are carrying them. So we need to kind of just kind of circle around, say animals, I guess. So, and then somebody had a cat, it was in a backpack, which really, I mean, it was contained. It was, they just couldn't leave it in the car because it was so hot. So if we can somehow come up with verbiage that sounds kind, yet please don't do it, then I'll go ahead and get the signs ordered.
I can look on Amazon and we can order them that way through the county.
Okay, if you want to do that, because I would go with fast signs down the road.
Mhm.
So whatever you want to do, I mean, it is not a problem with me at all. So we need road signs. We need the.
Yeah, let me look on Amazon because we can get the county to directly order those for us. And what I've seen says
Okay, good.
no pets allowed except service
Service, yeah.
animals.
Right.
I asked 3 people to take their pets out on Saturday.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Okay. What else we got?
I'm good.
Okay, what do advisory members have for us to bring? Concerns that you have, things that members have brought to your attention that they're concerned about?
I think it's going really well so far. I'm happy that we've got a lot of our old customers from other years coming back and a bunch of new people also.
Okay.
I have a copy of the Constitution that was handed to me at the market a couple of weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
Looking through it, I had vaguely remembered we had in the Constitution all the bylaws. Producers should produce the majority of their vegetables or fruit.
Yeah.
And I didn't see it in this copy. I was wondering if it had been taken out.
Oh, it shouldn't have been taken out.
Anyway, just check on that for me. I know it's an issue, and I just thought that it was good to have that in writing at some point in the future. And I didn't see it in there, so I was a little bit surprised. No big
Yeah,
deal.
Andy, I thought it was in there too. It certainly hasn't been taken out.
Well, it's no pressing issue, but it's something to look at when you have a chance.
Yes, sir. Yeah, under what I see, Andy, is on page 5, qualifications and responsibility of vendors. It says to produce a majority of products within Eastern North Carolina.
Yeah, that's pretty vague.
Yeah,
I don't remember where I saw this. It was
okay,
at some point, they had it stated something about 51%.
okay,
It could have been something that we thought we might do. It didn't.
yeah,
I don't remember.
yeah. Okay, we'll have to look for that, and we may want to start talking about that. Loretta, do you need more of the "I grew this" signs?
Yes, I could definitely use some, especially with this new vendor coming in.
Okay.
And what did Andy say? I couldn't hear him. He broke up.
He thought there was a place in the Constitution that specified what percentage of produce had to be grown by the vendor.
Okay.
Thinking again along those lines, one of the things that came to mind in the last week was the chalkboard that's at the front. If we had an artist, someone come in and design a pretty border on that and some wording that says, these items are in season locally, or these items are grown locally in June, or whatever, and tried to keep that list updated, that might help us educate our customers that corn is not in season right now, that strawberries, greens, beets, spinach, asparagus, those things are in season locally. Any thoughts on that?
It's a good idea, but it's another job somebody would have to do. Keep it
Yeah.
up. There's a website with NC State extension stuff in color. I'll look at it, see if we can print that and blow it up.
We sure could. The chart, the NCDA chart on what's local in North Carolina.
Yeah, I've seen that. I hadn't looked at it
Okay.
lately, but that was really good graphic.
It is. Okay, I'll see if I can get my hands on that for you. What else from advisory members?
Nothing from me.
No? Miss Jean?
Has there been any issues dealt with Wayne being such a disruptive person on the lower end as to not talking so vile about things?
Okay. I've got that on my list. I added it after I sent the agenda out. I've got a couple of updates on vendor concerns. I'll share with
Okay.
you. Yeah. Why don't I go ahead with that, and then we can bump back if you all have some things to share. Give me just a minute to pull my papers together. Some of that stuff is written down. So we've had okay. So we've had several vendors who have been upset about things at the market, concerned about things that were going on at the market. And I just wanted to give you an update of kind of where those things are, okay? So these are all things that have been acted on or happened since our vendor meeting in March, because we proposed the amendments and that got people stirred up because there was change that was being proposed. So Wayne sent a, I'm just trying to remember. Wayne asked to have a meeting. Gee, I can't remember if he sent a letter to all the commissioners or not. I don't remember. I think he did. I need to update my notes there. But anyway, he requested a meeting about the changes and about some of his concerns. And it took us several weeks to get it scheduled because we had, he had jury duty and people were on vacation and medical appointments. But we, Janice Gallagher, the county attorney, Loretta and I met with Wayne and Jean on the 13th of April. They had concerns about the proposed amendments and how that was going to impact their business. And he had some specific things that he wanted me to look at and tell him whether, if they passed, if things would have to change in his booth. And he had other concerns, mainly around poor communication and consistency enforcing rules. And so we talked some about how we could improve communication. That, you know, we mailed these things that I don't think anybody's ever received. I don't know where they are. My guess is they're stuck at the post office, but you know, that those things were messed up getting to people, that emails, people didn't receive emails or documents attached to the emails, that some people don't use email. We talked about texting, if that was a better method. And we also talked about trying to communicate with vendors by putting memos in the packets that Loretta puts out each week for fee return. And of course, that only works if the vendor is actually there that week. But we did talk about needing to improve communication between vendors and the market manager and the county when things are changing from that level. They talk specifically their concerns about enforcement of rules. They talk specifically about dogs in the market and about children not being supervised in the market. And they were concerned about the safety issues with both of those items. And so we're getting those signs about the dogs and pets not being allowed in the market. And I saw him Saturday and I told him, I said, I've turned away 3 people because of animals on leashes. So again, trying to communicate better with them as a customer, that we heard his concerns. Towards the end of that meeting, he asked if there was anything else that we needed to talk about. And I did tell him at that time that I was aware that other vendors were concerned and upset by some of the things that he had said, things that he had said about people as he walked up and down the aisle after the vendors meeting, and that it was upsetting to people. And Loretta said that she had told him he couldn't meander up and down the aisle talking to people anymore. He had to go restroom and come back, that was just had to stop. And I told him again, it was upsetting vendors and it needed to stop. He signed up to speak at the commissioners meeting Monday night, and I think he must have misunderstood how that worked, because all public comments come at the beginning of the commissioners meeting during the public comment section. And when they called him, he did not respond. He, in an email, said he thought he was supposed to talk under items for discussion. So anyway, he did send a letter to the commissioners about his concerns about the changes and amendments, and that will be delivered to them with their packet this week. So that is kind of the follow-up on the meeting with Gene and Wayne. And he said they were going to have to figure out if they were going to continue if the amendments passed. So that was the update there. Alan Greer, Alan was at the market on Saturday. He wasn't a vendor, but he was there, and I spoke to him. He was visiting with Wayne when I saw him. He, on Monday night with the commissioner meeting, he sent a letter of concern that was read into the commissioners meeting by the county manager, and basically said he felt that he had been discriminated against because he had been moved frequently. And he said that people who were cooking peanuts had to provide a processing letter. And he noticed that the folks who were selling peanuts on Saturday did not have the double sink that NCDA is requiring. And so I responded to Alan by email on the 20th, which I guess that was Tuesday. I responded to Alan and told him that I heard his letter, and I was so busy as a substitute teacher, I was so busy managing the market that it did not register with me. I knew that they had done their processing letter, but he's right, they did not have a double sink, and that I would ask Loretta to go ahead and address that with them before they were allowed to cook peanuts again. And I copied Loretta on that email, so she has that. So since the other thing I said in the email to him was, if we haven't seen your processing letter, I hope you'll get it and come back to the market. And he responded and said, no, he didn't think so, but he would like to have a one-on-one meeting with me. And he believes that there are about 5 other vendors that are going to leave. And he says someone is a farmer. I don't know who he's talking about, but I told him I'd be glad to meet one-on-one with him. So I've not heard back from him yet. We'll see where that goes. And then the third vendor that has expressed concern is Scott Johnson. He emailed me and Janice, the county attorney, and Commissioner Lauren White about failure to enforce rules at the market. He said that a vendor had slandered him, talking to other vendors at the market on a Saturday. And so while I was working at the market this past Saturday, I talked to Scott and I scheduled a Zoom meeting with him and with Janice Gallagher, the county attorney. And we've sent a link as well to Loretta for tomorrow morning at 8:30 to try to talk about his concerns. Now, he also addressed the county commissioners on Monday, saying basically the same thing, that rules were not being enforced. And he revealed that Loretta, the market manager, was his mother, and that she said she was not handling this. He did not identify the vendor by name to the commissioners, but said the vendor had violated 5 pieces of the code of conduct, and he thought he should be dismissed from the market. He also, during that meeting with the commissioners, he requested that I send a Zoom link to the meeting on Thursday to all advisory members and to all vendors at the market, because it was everyone's problem. And the county attorney said that was not possible because that would constitute a public meeting and would require advance notice. And she recommended that we meet in person with him as scheduled to determine if there was a need for an emergency meeting. So those are the three people that I have talked to specifically who were vendors that had concerns. And again, have scheduled meetings with them to talk about those things, because that's just the philosophy of the county as customer service, that we want to try to resolve items and talk through and do the best that we can to meet needs of citizens and folks using our services. So those are the three items, the three vendors that I've talked to. Any questions, concerns? Do you have suggestions on how you think further communication on those issues need to be handled? Is there anything that you want me to include in the meeting tomorrow with Mr. Johnson? Anybody? Okay. All right. If you have comments regarding those situations that I've discussed and you would feel more comfortable sending me an email or calling me, feel free to do that. Because we do want your input as the advisory members on how to best deal with conflicts when we have those at the market. So the other things that I have for you, I've talked with Larita about the amended Constitution and bylaws, and she agreed that May 8th, which is 2 Saturdays away, would be ample time for vendors to be in compliance with those amendments. And we'll have that. She's going to put that in a memo and send that to our vendors in their packets this Saturday. I shared with you the idea of the growing new vendor concept. And I talked to you a little bit about how we're improving or trying to improve communications. And all of us have got to be involved in that and trying to share information and keep people in the loop. Developing guidelines. One of the things that I think we do need to start thinking about is not an amendment to a bylaw or a constitution, but start thinking about some guidelines to help determine how vendors, when and how and why vendors are relocated, because that's this issue that Alan Greer keeps pointing to. And I know that Larita has made the best decision she could when folks were unhappy or if there were conflicts, to try to suit things so it would work smoothly. But we may need to try to help her develop some criteria or something so that we can show vendors that it's not a random act, it's not a discriminatory act, that there is a reason. I don't know if you have any thoughts about that.
Lee,
Yes,
I need to make the best decisions for all vendors.
Mhm.
It is not about one vendor.
Right.
If I feel that a vendor needs to move to a certain location, it is not because I don't like them, but it is because it is the best thing for the farmer's market.
Right.
Alan was not moved 10 times like he said he was. So we've got other issues there with lawsuits and threats and things like that. So I am going to always make the best decision for the vendors. It's not about one person, it's about us as a whole.
Mhm.
I am tickled when they come up to me and say, hey, I made this much, I have tripled my business,
Yeah.
it is about the whole farmer's market. It is not about one vendor.
Right.
That is what they don't understand. We
I know.
are a farmer's market as a whole. We are not just you as a vendor. So they don't understand that, and they don't want to understand that. My decisions are based on what is best for all of us.
Mhm. Well, and that's why a suggestion that I have is trying to help folks understand, that it's not because people don't like somebody. It has to do with accessibility for a vendor who is handicapped. It has to do with, gosh, I can't think of all the other reasons we may have moved people. But to give you that backup that you might need, so that someone can't say, well, she just doesn't like me and that's why she moved me. That we would be able to, you would be able to go back and say, well, these are the criteria, and in this situation, these were the reasons that I made that change. That is just a suggestion coming from me. I just feel like it might make life a little easier. But as the advisory board, you all need to weigh in on what you think would be most helpful. Joni, any thoughts on that?
I don't know how criteria would be a good idea. I don't know how cut and dry we could make that. But I do know for a fact the issues that Loretta has gone through with moving people, and I do believe she does have the market's best interest at heart.
Okay.
And I don't know how you make people see that, because some people are just going to be self-centered, and we're not going to change that.
Okay.
But if we could develop some guidelines, that'd be great.
Jean, any thoughts?
I'm just sitting here looking at my notes. I'll have to think about that
Okay.
and give you my thoughts on the criteria and guidelines.
Okay. Andy, any thoughts?
Well, it's not a job I would like to do. I think we're stumbling along okay. I know we've got a couple of people that are not happy.
Okay.
I don't think that's any fault of the majority of us.
Okay.
All in all, it's done well. Long term, if it comes up to the point where we are getting lots of new producers, think about one end of the building for people that do resale and one end of the building for all local.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, maybe a couple of years down the road.
Okay.
That would certainly rearrange things.
It would. It would. What Loretta and I both attended the National Farmers Market Conference. Gosh, I've forgotten when that was, Loretta, but it was online. I found it very informative and made me think about some things. And one of the items that they talked about was that when we take a new vendor in, that because we give long-term vendors primo spots. They've earned those spots. They've been here forever, and this is where they always sit. As new vendors come in, they don't have access to the primo spots. And the conference talked about how sometimes we set folks up to not be successful. And just because they've started growing at this point in time, we're limiting their access to the customers because they're in places that aren't the ideal spot. And I thought that was a really interesting idea, because every market I've ever been a part of has really looked at vendor seniority and long-term spaces. And I could see how that played out, because I thought seniority was a good thing, but they helped me think a little differently about it. And it may be that this highlighted new grower thing will help address some of that. I don't know. But it was an eye-opening time for me to think about that. All right, what else have we got? Those were all the things that I had on my list to run through.
What about
Lee,
Mary Hardy?
I had a oh, sorry, Andy. What?
So yes, I can update you on that, Andy. Mary Hardy will be presented to the board to be appointed. We're requesting that they appoint her. And that will be on the May 3rd meeting. So that's the next county commissioners meeting. And I found out today why it got moved to that meeting. Apparently, those applications are supposed to be on file for a period of time, like 15 days, and hers was not. And that is just a procedural thing that the county has. So she will have had her application on file for 15 days by the time the next commissioner meeting is. And I've already placed it on that agenda. So good question.
I have a suggestion, Lee.
Yes, Jane.
Lee, you know the big white signs that you use to put the COVID on? If we're getting new vendors in, would it be possible to take one of those signs and put it like at the front door where people are coming in, and let them know we have a new vendor at such and such a booth? Please visit them and welcome them to the market.
That's a great idea.
I mean, that way they will know that that person is new, and you can have the booth information on there, like the number, so they know where to go to visit that person.
I like that, Jean, and it probably would be nice if that information notice that goes out to all of our vendors in their packet said as much, that, this week our new vendor is Terry Snowden. Please make them feel welcome. I think that's a great way to do hospitality.
I think actually the best way to do that would be a chalkboard. And a lot of people right now are using chalkboards because it can be erased and then redone the following week, because we got Terry starting this week, then we've got Michelle starting next week. And so that could be easily changed without having to go through the expense of a $22 yard sign.
Okay.
Well, we got that big chalkboard right there by the front door.
So we could do that too.
Sure could.
Yeah,
But
I don't know
this-
how many people really look at that. I think as standalone might be a little bit better as people are entering, because they'd be walking in and looking right at it.
Mhm.
And we may have to train people to look at that chalkboard, but I agree, Loretta. I think something out front
Yeah.
will help.
Yeah,
And, you know,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you or when Joni's back, if Joni's out front at the market, you know, as you're welcoming people in, you could always say that.
absolutely. They love that contact.
Mhm.
So that would be really good too. Absolutely.
I really like the way you
Let me, can I intervene something here?
Mhm.
Can you
Yeah.
hear me? I didn't
Yes,
know if you
ma'am.
could hear me. I had a vendor say to me, well, why don't you take the longtime vendors and intermingle them between the back, the new building, and the front building? What is the feeling on that? That the new or the older vendors would be a draw back to the back of the building. They wouldn't be in their same location that they are now. They would be moved back into the new building.
Well, if it's based on age, I would certainly lose.
Andy, we can't hear you.
That's, Loretta, I heard you mention once before about making everybody use the tables, the same kinds of tables. And that would make it a lot easier to shift like you're suggesting. If that's what it takes to make the market better, I'd be willing to do that. But I also feel like the long-term best for the market would be to maybe move people that are really reselling more than they are producing to the other end. They would draw a crowd and a lot of activity, and it would be more fair to those who want to try to produce stuff and sell it at the market.
Jean, any thoughts?
I have a refrigerator that I'd have to move with me,
Mm-hmm.
and that to me might create a problem
Okay.
because Mike is not in the best shape right now with his back going out on him, and I know he wouldn't be able to do that.
Okay. Joni, any thoughts?
I was actually thinking about Jean's refrigerator when she mentioned that. I wondered, and you know, like Ainsley and the meats. I'm not sure how you'd work those logistics out.
Yeah. I think that might be a real challenge. It may be something that we want to consider for next season and start in January with everything looking different. I think it would be hard to accomplish right now.
Well, now Ainsley, Naharuka, Wendy, they would all stay where they're at.
Oh, okay.
So the proposal was moving like the vendors who have got, you know, who have been there for years and years, moving them down to that and to draw the crowd down to that end of the building. So, I mean, Ainsley, Wendy, Naharuka, they would all stay where they're at.
Mhm.
Right. So like somebody like Nita with her case that she has her turnovers and stuff in, that would just have to move.
Yep.
Okay.
I think we are thinking outside the box, and we need to do that to try to figure out how to do the best for our market. So I appreciate you all thinking outside the box. I'm not sure that again, and I'm just advising, I think that might be easier to accomplish at the end of a season, at the beginning of a new season, than doing it kind of in the middle. I do want to share two other things from my experience on Saturday. One is Bobby had tremendous sales, and we've already talked about that. He had a really good day. He told me that, but I also saw products leaving just over and over. Ainsley had an exceptional day, sold out of stuff. She really had a banner day and was excited about that. Wendy has a chalkboard in front of her booth, and on her chalkboard it said, "Welcome to the land of misfit toys."
What
And
did it say?
It said, "Welcome to the land of misfit toys."
I'm sorry. Why did she write that on there, I wonder?
I don't know. I didn't ask her. I can make assumptions, but I didn't ask.
I can too at the way it was written.
Yeah, and I think, you know, that there has to be some positive energy and attitude to try to help us work through it. So I'm counting on all of y'all having that. I try to give it when I'm there, but it can be really challenging. What other stuff do we need to talk about? I have our next meeting scheduled for the 13th of July. I apologize for last week. I somehow didn't write it down, and I was just not in a place where I could accomplish our meeting on a regular date. But I do have our next meeting on July 13th. If you have suggestions for the conflicts that we've dealt with, and feel free to call me, text me, email me your concerns. I'd appreciate that. Before we meet again, we'll have final evaluations for Pitt County employees. So as the advisory committee, if you have things that you'd like to share for Lorita's evaluation, feel free to send those to me as well. I'll be glad to incorporate those as best I can into that final evaluation that's done. And I don't have any.
Have Joni come back into the market.
I hope that'll happen soon.
I'm still with you folks. I'm working on that.
Good.
Because I'm kind of anxious to get the bags back out there for the customers. I think they all enjoyed that.
And the governor did say today that he felt like, but by June 1st, that some of the restrictions would be lessened even more. We're still guided by Pitt County's restrictions. So, there are positive signs.
Good.
Yeah. All right, folks, I don't have anything else for you. Anything else from anyone? If not, we go home.
Thank you.
Well,
Good
have a
night.
good evening.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good
Good night.
night.
Night, see you Saturday.
Yes, ma'am.